This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 15 in the National Football League. Denver Broncos on the road trying to wrap up the AFC West, taking on the San Diego Superchargers. The one team in this division that can stop them from getting that done. And probably their chief competitor in this division. So if you're Denver, there's a golden opportunity to wrap this thing up and now set your sights on the ultimate goal of winning the AFC conference, getting that #1 seed, and getting that home game. Because we all know what it all boils down to. You're going to see New England. If you want to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to see New England. So it's important to get that #1 seed. It is. And so there's an opportunity to take another step towards doing exactly that. If you're the Chargers, you're right in the midst of not only a race in the AFC West, but more realistically, you're looking to get that wild card, and a win here will keep you exactly in the driver's seat for that goal. But again, you win this game, you still got one eye on that division, but the eye is definitely on the prize of getting in. And again, don't care how you do it, front door, back door, doesn't matter though. You're just looking to get into the postseason any way you can. So here we go. C.J. Anderson dominating the Broncos' first scoring drive. The Broncos can't get into the end zone, even though they get inside the San Diego Chargers 10-yard line. Have to settle for a field goal. 3-0 Denver as we head to the second quarter. Huge Peyton Manning to Juice. Good to see Juice back squeezing that orange, man, and producing for this football team. Good to see him back. He was out since that St. Louis game with an ankle injury. First game back, and he made his presence felt here on this play. Hooks up with Peyton Manning on a nice deep ball. Beautiful throw by Manning. Sets up the second field goal of the game for the Broncos. Again, getting inside the red zone, but can't find the end zone. It is now 6-0. Chargers have 25 yards in penalties derailed, and these were back-to-back penalties. So they're on the move, they're getting some consistency, and then boom, bang, thank you, ma'am, you're out of field goal range just about. You have a offensive pass interference, so OPI. The very next play, DJ Fluker has a headbutt and a slap right in front of the officials. Don't know what he was thinking on that one. Boom, another 15-yard penalty, just like that, 25 yards. Later, you're now in field goal range for Nick Novak, but it's 46 yards instead of a chip shot. Ball has to come out a little bit lower. It is blocked partially by Derek Wolfe. No good. And so it's still 6-0 Denver. And again, I say this all the time. I talk about missed field goals and the impact on the game. There are a number of things that happen when you miss a field goal. One, you don't get the 3 points. That's huge because you're taking points off the scoreboard. 2, you're giving up tremendous field position. But to me, 3, the biggest thing of all is the one thing you can't quantify, and that's the change in momentum. And you gave up all 3 of those things. So off that block, the Chargers give up a big play to Demaryius Thomas with a leaping grab over your best corner thus far this season in Brandon Flowers. Gets them down to the Chargers' 22-yard line. And then they get all the way down to the one, do these Broncos. And Peyton Manning actually throws a block. I mean, he puts his body on the line. You don't see him do this very often. But he puts his body on the line and actually does a damn good job of taking on a defender and forces the issue there. And C.J. Anderson actually gets into the end zone. However, upon further review, they look at it, they determine that his knee was down prior to getting into the end zone. And so it's no longer a touchdown, which brings up 4th down. Well, there's one problem. Even though you're at the 1-yard line, possibly could go for it, go for the gusto here, there's no Peyton Manning. He leaves the game on that block. He injures his thigh. And he came into the game already with flu-like symptoms, so he already was under the weather. You add that thigh to the mix, and all of a sudden he's in the locker room getting IVs and having his thigh checked out. So he's not on the field, so they decide to kick another field goal. It's now 9-0 in this game. Broncos up. And then I thought that with Peyton Manning out of the game, Adam Gase, your offensive coordinator in Denver, I thought he dropped the football here and almost cost his team huge lead in this game. You cannot do what he did. Okay, so Peyton Manning's not in the lineup for the final possession of the first half. The Chargers are left with one timeout. You've got an opportunity to go to the halftime break with a 9-0 lead. I say you take your 9-0 lead, you go to the halftime break. Peyton Manning comes back. If he's just getting an IV and he's fine with the thigh, he's coming back into this ball game. I say you take your 9-0 lead and you run to the locker room and say, hey, we're thankful to be out of here up 9-0 and hope Peyton Manning comes back in the second half to extend this lead. He wants to get greedy and say, no, I got Brock Osweiler. I'm going to show you what I can do. First play is a pass. It damn near gets picked off. I'm thinking, okay, if that doesn't scare Adam Gase, nothing will. The next play, he's throwing the football again. Incomplete. And so now, Chargers don't have to spend a timeout. It's 3rd and long. You better hand it off now. He does. C.J. Anderson forgets to get out, stay in bounds. He runs out of bounds, short of the first down. You got to punt the football with the Chargers still left with a timeout. What a disastrous possession for the Broncos. And I just thought Adam Gase totally dropped the ball. You cannot throw the football with Brock Osweiler there twice. That is insane. And he had to pay for it. They punt the football. Huge return by Eddie Roll. If not for Colquitt, your punter, stopping him, he scores a touchdown. Great individual play by Colquitt to get that returner down, get Eddie Royal down, because it was a nifty return by Eddie Royal, and he was looking to get in the end zone, and he was one missed tackle away by the punter from getting in the end zone. So huge play by Colquitt to stop him from getting in the end zone. The Chargers have to settle for a field goal. It's 9-3 at the halftime break. We come out of the break. Manning is back on the field. Nick Novak misses from 37 yards out to continue his rough day. He had only missed one field goal coming into the game for the Chargers. He had one partially blocked in the first half. Now he misses a chip shot from 37 in the second half. So the Chargers are just struggling. You're talking about 6 points there. You're talking about this game being knotted up at 9. That's the difference between making field goals and missing field goals in this league. And again, when you miss a field goal, bad things happen. I talked about them earlier. 3 things happen every time you miss a field goal. You take 3 points off the scoreboard, which is huge. You give up field position, which is huge as well. And the biggest thing that you can't quantify, the momentum factor. Broncos go off that miss, and Manning connects with double 8 Demaryius Thomas on a 28-yard catch and run as he gets into the end zone for the first touchdown of the day for any team. It's now 16-3. Missed field goals have that type of impact on a football game. Now the Chargers are down big and need to get something going right away. That's the end of the third quarter. Broncos up 16-3. Phillip Rivers drives his team down the field and makes it a ball game as he throws a 6-yard touchdown dart to OG 85 in the end zone as Antonio Gates gets in, and it is now 16-10. Chargers right back in this football game. They need a stop, and they can't get it. Emmanuel Sanders, big completion down the field, gets the Broncos in the field goal range, and their field goal kicker, Connor Barth, continues his strong start to the season with this Broncos club as he nails his 4th field goal of the game to make it 19-10. Aqib Talib and Raheem Moore both get interceptions. Aqib Talib's interception sets up another Broncos field goal to make it 22-10. And Raheem Moore's interception in the end zone seals the deal as the Denver Broncos go on the road in the division and beat the San Diego Chargers 22-10. Big performance by the Broncos on the road. Defensively, they got it done for the 2nd week in a row. The Chargers have a tough time dealing with a tough defense. Last week, they were at home versus New England, did not score a single point in the second half. This week, they're at home versus Denver, struggle to score points, only able to total 10 points in this football game. Missed a couple of field goals. Those were huge in the grand scheme of things. Chargers go down 22-10. They're now 8-6 on the season. Still right in the thick of things in the AFC postseason race, but they need to turn it up. I mean, 2 straight games at home, 2 straight losses at home, that can't happen this late in the season when you got to have them, especially the ones at home. They're going to have to find a way to turn it up and finish this season on a strong note to see if they can't get into postseason play. And if you're the Denver Broncos, huge win on the road, 11-3 on the season, clinches the AFC West division, so you're now definitely in the postseason, which you already knew you were going to make it. Now you set your sights on potentially getting your hands on that #1 seed. You can't control that. You need some help, and you need to win out. So if you're the Denver Broncos, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. The one thing I will say is this Denver Broncos offense 2.0, the one that has C.J. Anderson spearheading this rushing attack, this Denver Broncos offense fails to score in the red zone, and not necessarily fails to score, but this isn't the Denver Broncos team that's going to score 41 points like they did against Oakland in the blink of an eye. This is an offense that's somewhere in the 20s. We've seen this the last 3 weeks or so with this offense against Kansas City. I think it was 29 points in that game. The next week against last week it was 24. This week it's 22. The numbers are decreasing. The defense is getting it done, but I need this team to be more efficient in the red zone. I mean, they were able to get it done a couple weeks ago against Buffalo in the red zone, but I need this team to be more proficient. And if you're going to grind it out and do what you're doing and not use the passing game as much as you did earlier in the season, that's fine. I need you to deposit the football in the end zone, however, when you get in the red zone. In this game, way too many field goals instead of touchdowns. You can't beat the Patriots that way. You cannot beat the upper echelon teams in the league settling for field goals when you have opportunities to score touchdowns. The Broncos can clean that up. I don't see why this team can't be one of the best teams in the AFC in terms of having a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. Their chances have heightened since they've developed this new sense of rushing the football. The thing that they need to make sure they do is they cap these drives off with touchdowns. These drives have to end in 7 and not 3s, because again, if you can't score touchdowns, you're not going to win when it comes to big boy football in the postseason. You got to make your field goals. You got to get something out of these drives, but you want to get 7s and put pressure on the opposing team. They weren't able to do that in this game, but the defense held up and they were able to get the victory 22-10. They're 11-3 on the season. Chargers are now 8-6. Broncos are your 2014 AFC West champions, and they get it done. So that's going to do it for Broncos and Chargers. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me as I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 15 of the National Football League. See you in a bit.